Good morning. It is a canning day. It's rainy. It's not too awful hot today, so I'm getting this out of the way. We are going to be making a vegetable beef, and I wanted to go ahead and bring you in to show you some of the prep work, because essentially after your prep work, it's just dump into a pot and let it do its thing. So here I have lima beans. I did baby limas. There's a little bit of big limas because they actually came, I get them in bulk, and so this had baby limas on top and then the big limas on the bottom. So it has a couple big limas in. I'm not going to use this whole thing. I'm going to have some for dinner, so it's a big pot, but we're not using all of it. I will measure everything as I go. I have green beans, fresh green beans. I recommend that you use either fresh or frozen produce. I have a whole quart bag filled to the brim with chopped carrots. I have 5, 6, 7 ears of corn that I'm going to take off the cob as soon as it defrosts a little. And I will be using fresh potatoes. I have to chop them. In my crock pot, I have 2 huge roasts. Well, I think they were 2.5 pounds a piece, which is what I want. I am now adding a quart of my beef bone broth, and I have my crock pot on. You can hardly see that because it is so dark. I apologize, but I have it on low so that it can, well, no, I have it on warm because I don't want to cook it anymore, but I want it to kind of juice up a little. And I'm going to use all this stock in my soup as well, so none of it's getting wasted. But this is just going to chill out. Like I said, it's already gone for 12 plus hours. It's done. It's just going to chill while I'm getting everything else going. I would have put in 2, but I only had 1. So there's that. And then I told you I would try to measure everything. So I have heaping 4 cups of green beans, and I don't want big pieces, so whenever I see that I snapped one that was kind of on the bigger side, I've been making them smaller, especially since my little kiddos will be eating them. And then I have my carrots that are chopped, and I'm putting the whole bag in. So this was a quart-sized bag of carrots. And then this is about 3 to 4 cups of corn. Maybe closer to the 3-cup mark. It was about 7 ears, but they were smaller ears of corn. And I'm making sure, yeah, okay, we are recording. And then 5 small potatoes, and I diced them small. And you can put in more if you want. One of the recipes I saw actually had 7 large russets in there, and I don't want potatoes to be the main event. I want my meat to be the main event. So there's that. And then for our lima beans, let me kind of give you a measure. Again, these did the just quick soak method. So there's a pint of lima beans. I'll do a little bit more. So there's 3 cups. 3 cups total of lima beans. And then, I'm going to check this and see what it looks like after I get all my stuff in. Yes, baby. So next is a quart of diced tomatoes. And you can use fresh, but literally I have 3, this is what I have. This is what I have left fresh. So We're using my canned, which smells amazing. So there's a quart of that, and I'll probably put in more. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'll probably put in more. So, I'm gonna get that stirred around a little bit. And this is my 20-quart stock pot. I don't know if I said that. So, I'm planning for a lot of soup. A lot of soup. And this will be delicious during the winter. Okay, now we're gonna put in our beef and then see where we're at liquid-wise. And I wanna make sure I have a juicy soup. I don't want a real thick soup. I want it hearty, but I love the juice of vegetable soup. That's probably my favorite part. So remember, I put in a quart of beef bone broth, plus it had probably a pint, maybe less than a pint worth of its own juice from where it just cooked down. Oh yeah, definitely got juicy, what I wanted. Get little pieces in there. Okay. And all I seasoned the beef with was salt and pepper. That is it. Oh, this is gonna be a big pot of soup. Okay, so definitely need more liquid. So I have a 46-ounce thing of tomato juice. So I'm going to put that in there. See where we're at. And I'm trying to kind of break up any big chunks of meat that I see. Again, I've already ran my knife through both of the rump roasts, so they're already starting to fall apart. Okay. Now, don't you love this recipe? It's like, now we're gonna add this, so now we're gonna add that. All right. We're going to add more beef broth, but before I do, I want to go ahead and add some red pepper flakes, salt, and since we have potatoes in here, potatoes soak up salt, so I'm going to be generous with the salt, and it's all to taste. And then I'm going to add garlic powder. Honestly, not because I don't have cloves, because I do, but I want to use them in another recipe, and I want to make sure I have enough. So garlic powder, it looks like a lot, but it is a big, hefty pot of soup. Okay, that's that. And then, last but not least, some black pepper, and I am going to be crushing more of that because that is definitely not enough black pepper. Definitely not. Alright, let me get more beef stock. I'm probably gonna add... Okay, I'm not sure what happened. I just had a whole conversation with myself thinking I was talking to you all. So, let me just tell you what I did. I added 1 quart of my beef bone broth, another quart of that, and then I added in a quart of my French onion soup. Now it has wine and beef broth from where I cooked down a roast and spices, and it's phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. So I thought it would be really good, especially since I didn't have an extra onion to stick in here. And then I also added another pint of diced tomatoes. So I think it may be to where I want it liquid wise. I'll see after it comes up to a boil, and I'll taste it, see if it needs anything before I add more beef broth or more tomato. So this is about 3/4 of the way full, so I'm gonna say it's gonna take a minute for it to come up. But I just wanted to tell you what I added in so that you all would know. And yeah, so I'll see you back probably in 20 or 30 minutes. Okay, so It boiled for 5 minutes. I tasted the stock in it, and it is amazing. Perfect. I do not need to add anything to this soup. So the way it says to can it, and I'm sure that they do this just so it does good with the density. That's always something you want when you're doing soup. You don't want to make it too dense. So I have hot, clean jars that I've already pre-inspected the rims just because I use old jars. I mean, I have new jars, but I have a lot of old ones. And so when I'm washing them, I always make sure that there's no nicks. And so what we're going to do is fill it halfway with the solids and then the other half with our liquid. And you could use a slotted spoon and then switch over to a ladle, but I'm just draining. Alright, that's about half. And now add our stock. And this just makes sure that, again, density, but also you're going to get a nice, well-rounded soup and not open up a jar that's all broth or open up a jar that's all solid. And now we give an inch of head space, and I am going to debubble. My lids are soaking in hot water. Alright, there's our inch of head space. I'm going to move on to the next jar. As soon as I get these going, I'm going to put them in my canner. I don't have room on my stove to have this big pot out and have my canner, so I'm going to put hot water in it when I get it up here so that the hot jars go into a hot canner. Not boiling, just hot. I'm loving all these vegetables and chunks of beef. Now, this will go for 90 minutes because I put meat in it at 10 pounds of pressure for my altitude. You will need to check your altitude, and you can do that online to see if you need to have 15 pounds of pressure or add extra time. There's different regulations for different elevations. But this is all I'm doing, but let me show you what this looks like. Again, I still have to debubble and I still have to wipe the rims, but I am doing this with both my kids. Well, I have 3 kids, but both my twins at home, and they're actually being good right now, so I wanted to get my video in before they realize that I'm in the kitchen. But you can see how rich this broth is, and then it's just packed full of stuff. I'm so excited that I'm gonna have this on my shelf this winter. So I will bring you back when these have finished canning, and we'll see how many jars total we get out of this. Alright, so here is the finished product. I ended up getting 12 quarts total. I will say I got the 7, baby. I got the 7 the first round and then 5 quarts the second, but I did have to put in an additional quart of bone broth just to make it to where I could do the half solid and then half liquid. So I did end up needing to add more of that, and then you can see in this jar where it is a little more liquidy than the rest, but that's okay. It's absolutely delicious. Now these have already been labeled and washed. These still have another probably 8 hours of just chilling out on my counter before I put them up and wash them. But I'm so excited to have this. My husband's not, because he doesn't eat veggie soup, but I do, and it's amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys for my next recipe or canning session. Thanks for watching.